Hey everyone, Scorp here, continuing this Duelist the Roses playthrough on the Farme mod. Today we're gonna finish the game, no matter what happens. I mean, there's no way I'm not getting through this guy on my, first or second try. So, yeah, there's that. Did do a bunch of checking on stuff before this duel started, so I will be able to at least discuss that at the end of this. This fight shouldn't be too hard. Good, a gravity bind. Excellent. That's what I wanted to see. Eat Gaboon did its job. Now this man is going to just probably not move because he thinks that he's stronger. Nope. Okay, perfect. Okay, he Ryoryoku to card. Cool, we'll just stay away from that because we're on Crush, and we can. Well, this is the biggest creature I can possibly play on Crush, so that's great. He is terrified of me, guys. My little Princess of Surugai is, scaring him. Here, let's see what, terrifying creature he put a Ryoryoku on. Sir? You moved back. Might I remind you that, my creature can attack you? You can't attack the creature, so I don't know why you did that. Let's see what he does. My bet is something that's self-destructive. Bonk 2. Okay. No Mirror Force. So we just do this. And Keymace wins. Yeah, that was not really a challenge. Okay, so that went exceedingly well. Our opponent has been defeated. So yeah, that was this mod. So some of the... I'll go and do Deckmaster S after this. So some thoughts on this. Please, if you're modding this game, please just fix the cards in the start screen. If you get the script for it, it's like a 15-second process. Please do it. If you're trying to mod this game, just either DM me or message me in my Discord. You know, it's pretty easy. It works great. So that'll fix that problem at the very start. Also, I would recommend, if you're modding this game, to just not make every single enemy deck leader a Secretary of Defense. I mean, it's great for upping the challenge level, but like, it's not really realistic. I mean, first off, you're only supposed to really have one Secretary of Defense as a country. I mean, I guess you could promote every single one of them after the person before them lost, right? Guess that's how that works. But I mean, it doesn't really make much sense to make Taya much more than like a second lieutenant. So, I mean, I would recommend that. Not the end of the world. There are some deck leader choices I would have made differently. Specifically, since this mod is obviously made for farming all of the cards in the game. So, if you're trying to get all the cards in the game, right? There's about 130 or so cards. We'll say like 125 cards that don't have a password. So if you're wanting to let the player get access to everything, right? Let them have all 700 some passwords. And then you have to figure out how to give 130 cards to the player, right? Now, a whole bunch of those are rituals, and honestly, the AI is never going to play them, and getting rid of them is going to take a miracle. So my recommendation for all of the rituals is just make them... You can either make them all hidden cards, or you could make them into reincarnations. If you're going to make them as reincarnations, they're just in people's decks in this mod, which is... I mean, that's how they were in the base game. But honestly, I'd make them reincarnations. It's probably the easiest way to give them to people. And instead of making all their deck costs 1, like Gemini and Redux do, for giving them to people, make them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That way, the fake trap doesn't come up very often, because it'll default to one of the 6s instead of one of the 5s. So that would be a great way to give all those to everyone. And then I would put a lot of cards as leaders for opponents that are unobtainable password cards. Like, I know Larva of Moth is Weevil's leader, right? But, I mean, he's going to play Larva of Moth with the fusion. And if he's going to do that, I mean, just give him a Great Moth with, like, and make it his second lieutenant or something. And then you can just take Great Moth from him. Aside from game balance, I mean, there's no way to really balance a game like this. I would recommend, or I mean, my preference would be to actually make the enemies pretty difficult if you're going to give access to all the passwords. Like, way more difficult than Gemini, like Redux 2 level of difficulty. So that you can actually show off all of these really nice, fun cards that you have, instead of just obliterating this game, because, I mean, a base game with slightly different enemy leaders is, like, you're just gonna run it over. Especially if you can just put in passwords. I mean, like, I put in, like, a password and just stomped the first half of the game. I put in a couple extras just up consistency, and then just completely stomped the rest of the game. So, yeah, I mean, Practical's a password card, right? But, I mean, I don't think there's actually a dinosaur that isn't a password card. There might be, I don't remember. But, I mean, you could put in something fancy like a Brachioridus or something. Or you could make him hard with a Tomosaurus or something, and actually give the dinosaurs some hero powers and stuff. Do a little rebalancing to the game if you wanted to. But the other main thing that I would do to really help the player get all the cards, give every single leader hidden card and find hidden card and all the hidden slot and extra slots. Like, it's super easy to do that. And if you're going for giving the player all the cards, you might as well, right? Also, I did check, the reincarnation pool has like 700 cards in it. Yeah, the fact that I got like 3 ritual creatures in a row was an absolute fluke on that one reincarnation. So my complete recommendation is that you go and do something. Like, just limit the reincarnations to just the cards that are missing from the passwords, or even a subset of them, because you have hidden cards to work with, you have slot rares, you have all the stuff to work with to make this go well. So I'd recommend just to make it go well and make it easy enough to get cards. That's my recommendation. Yeah, otherwise, besides just giving cards out nice and easily like that, there's some other things you can do to, like, make getting all the cards easier. You can also edit these custom fields and give some nice custom ones. One other thing that I definitely saw in there was some of the cards were really hard to get, like Blue's Ultimate, Ruryoku, Mirror Force, all of those were only slot rares. And there's like 30-some slot rares. Like, it is an absolutely terrifying number of slot rares. It might have been higher than 30, honestly. So, like, those slot rares are honestly kind of annoying, especially when you don't have the bonus slot rares to go get, so those cards could easily be a pain to go and actually get. I am kind of scared that this card is an immortal, so I'm gonna play around that possibility. It's a Super Whirlwind. Okay, shouldn't be terribly worried. This guy's deck, I checked it beforehand. It basically is just a whole bunch of ritual summon creatures, which is great for giving them to players. So, I mean, this mod definitely gives cards out, and it gives them out pretty easily. Are there better ways to give out cards? Yes. There are things that it doesn't do well. It does definitely goes towards the right direction if you're trying to make a mod that gives the player access to everything. This is a good start for that. That's an immortal. That's unfortunate. I don't know if I can actually kill this man. And that's kind of a shame. Yeah, I kind of figured I was going to have to kill the creature here and regret it. Yeah. I have lethal, I guess. So... yeah, definitely you could get all the cards in it this way. Definitely ways to make it easier to get all the cards if you want to go that route. There's also this is definitely not how you make a balanced game. That's for sure. So those are my thoughts, really. This opponent's an interesting take on a final boss. Unfortunately, it's just a Monster Mash deck with way too much cost, so this is kind of what you get. And unfortunately, Blue's Ultimate's not in the slots, which I think all of the cards should just be in the slots if you're going with this kind of mod. Hey, we finally got another slot rare. But yeah, the slot rares, there's way too many cards in it. Yeah, so, I don't know. There's definitely ways to make this a more efficient mod for farming up all the cards. The only other thing that you could probably do is put cards in the reincarnation pool that are actually like hard to farm other ways. Like most cards end up in the normal slots pretty easily. Like the AI just always plays monsters. It loves playing them. And it's super easy to duplicate monsters because you can just put them as deck leaders, right? It also loves to play traps. It loves to play equips. Like, it's pretty easy to trigger a trap and duplicate it. But the cards that are really hard to duplicate, if you go in here, cards like Mountain are exceedingly hard to duplicate. Curse Breaker's kind of hard. Like cards like Monster Recovery, Magical Neutralizing Force Field. If you wanted 3 of them, you're going to actually have a pretty hard time getting them, even using Deckmaster T. If you wanted like 3 of Sparks, 3 of Tremendous Fire, that kind of stuff, the AI actually doesn't like using those cards, so setting up a way to duplicate them, like putting them as basically the only reincarnation targets, is a pretty good way to do that. Just remember to put in a couple monsters because it's going to there's like a 60% chance that you get a monster, and if not, you'll just get a fake trap, I believe, so you definitely want to put in monster choices in there, just not many of them, just so it's super consistent. Like a couple at every like 10 deck cost interval would be super good. And that way, I mean, you can have like 25 cards in your slot rare pool with the with all the leaders having the slot rare thing. That's pretty reasonable. And then you can have like, I don't know, like 75 cards in your reincarnation pool, and then you can have just a bunch of the cards in players' decks, because, I mean, a lot of the cards that are not passwords are actually pretty decent cards. You can just take them from people. Like, I wouldn't mind having to win a Mirror Force from UV. That sounds pretty fair. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on if I were making a mod just to give cards to people, that's how I'd do it. But I would probably also make the opponents exceedingly difficult, because if I had wanted to, this deck at the start could have looked brutal. I mean, it could have started triple Mystical Elf. I could have put in the Ray and Temperature, Caution Ingen, Happy Lover, triple Dancing Elf, triple Wing Egg Elf, easily 3 Muka Mukas, like Eye Armors, Green Kappas, Darkness Approaches, Magician of Faiths. Like, it wouldn't have taken much to just trick out a deck like this, and it would have been very strong. I also didn't level up my leader. Didn't really care to. Didn't need it at all because this is the base game. I did look at their cuts for their experience. It's 15k, I think, for a maxed out leader, which is like, it was 65k for a maxed out leader in the base game. So it is a significant cut. Gemini, for reference, is 7,500. And that still feels painful to max out a leader, so just remember, like, it was brutal in the base game. I think making it a lot easier is a good idea. And then also, yeah, giving hidden card to all the cards would be great, because then you have even less cards that you have to give away with... there's way less cards you'd have to give away with slot rares and reincarnations, or just having to go find them in regular slots. Also, if I were doing this that way, all of those cards that I want to give away just in slots like that, they'd be 3-ofs an opponent's decks. Because that's one thing that's really obnoxious in Gemini is if you're collecting all the cards, there's a couple cards that are just straight up 1-ofs in enemy decks, and you have to go really, like, you have to really go get them, which is a shame. But Gemini is not meant to make it easy to go get every card. It's easier, since it's possible. And it has a couple challenging cards to go get. There's also a bunch of new mod technology compared to when this came out that should probably also be used for special slot rares. That could definitely be used to make this even better. You can put up 30 slots of special 3-in-a-rows. Like, you could just 3-in-a-row Blue Eyes for Blue Eyes Ultimate. And that would be a more interesting way to get a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon than just reincarnating for it in this mod. Or slot raring it regularly when you have like 60 choices for slot rares, which is unfortunate. So yeah, all of that could be done. I don't know. I think overall, if you're wanting to play a mod that is basically the base game, but you have access to everything, this is fine. But don't expect much of a challenge if you put in any passwords, do any farming, or have any competency with the game whatsoever. But with that said, I mean, still playing through the game normally. I'm also not going to use 1.7 for PCX2 for a while, mainly because it doesn't interact with OBS very well. And I don't like what it does to the numbers on cards on the field. So maybe there's a setting that I can fix that. But the 1.7 version doesn't seem to utilize the strength of a computer very well. So yeah, I like 1.6 more because it doesn't, like, this feels like I'm playing on a PS2, which is fine, but I'd rather feel like I'm playing on a computer emulating a PS2, because like 1.6 just gets rid of all the pain that a PS2 used to have. Also, like, I mean, there's a bunch of other quality of life things that you can add with the newer mod tools, so like the ability to swap between enemy deck leaders here on the screen would be nice. So I've done a whole bunch of rambling. I have what I think would be a more idealized version of this mod for actually getting all the cards. I won't be playing this again just because I can beat the base game in the base game, and it'll look basically like this, and it'll be a one-sided stomp. And I'd have access to all the passwords still in that, and yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have access to an Arsenal bug, but I never gotten an Arsenal bug in this playthrough anyways. The only cards I got were like Serpent Knight Dragon and Perfectly Ultimate, which was completely broke the game when I got it on Tristan. Yeah. Although, if you're going to change the game, please change Tristan and change the enemy AIs, because I don't like what I did to Kaiba here. that was pretty brutal. And Tristan just change his AI, like to anything else. It doesn't matter. Just change it. Yeah, like you don't have to change his deck. Just change his AI. Like it's so unbelievably bad. Just change it. Yeah. His AI, I don't think it can actually win a game with even like remotely decent play. But and then you go from him into like Mai, who has Punished Eagle, which makes her like infinitely better. Also, why isn't this a Harpy Lady Sisters? I'm definitely just rambling now, but yeah. Why isn't this a Harpy Lady Sisters? It acts the same as Punished Eagle and it's just harder to get. So, like, you'd just be giving the player a card that doesn't have a password. Thinking. Oh well. Regardless, yeah, this is a mod. I'm not going to recommend it unless you just want to go collect all the cards. But if you want to just go collect all the cards, Cheat Engine exists, so you could go collect all the cards in 20 minutes if you wanted to, so instead of sitting here for probably 8 hours entering passwords, which is probably what you'd have to do on this mod, sadly. And I don't feel like ever entering that many passwords ever again, so it's a shame, but that's what you'd have to do in a mod like this. Yeah. Regardless, those are all my thoughts. I hope they were somewhat coherent. I know I didn't script them. I should have probably scripted them, but I didn't. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a nice day.